Excellent. Over to you, Pete, for your final Prod MBA case study.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Henry. So yeah, I'm Pete. I'm going to present my case study from the Prod MBA, and I'm going to try to keep it in within 15 minutes. It's going to be a real challenge because it's been learned so much. So here's what I'm going to talk about. I can make this work, right? So we during the Prod MBA really get like a complete overview about like creating the product from scratch, which has been super valuable for me because as a product manager in this game for 7 years, I've always been involved in products where we already have something going on and we need to improve on it. So here I really appreciated to work on the really beginning of this process, which is validating the problem and creating an offer and how to validate this offer. So super comprehensive and really useful tools, and I'm going to introduce you during the presentation. Then we move on to the strategic planning, how we can actually make sure that whatever we're building is also feasible technically and viable from a business perspective. The last part of the process would be validating the prototype and iterate. Unfortunately, during the Product MBA, I didn't get time to actually do these parts, but I'm really looking forward on my own time to continue with this initiative and really get better of actually building that prototype and iterate on it. The last part, how we're going to tie this off, is basically I'm explaining the experiment that I designed for this and how would I do the prototype. So let's jump in. The first term is validating the problem. So here's the problem. I believe that early stage startups have limited time and budget and expertise to create and implement growth strategies. It's been a real journey for me to get to this problem, to be honest, because I have to be very honest as well that I came into this Product MBA with a very focused on solution, and just for the context, when we applied for the Product MBA, that was the release of ChatGPT and the GPT-3 model and all the generative AI boom. So I was really super stoked and focused on let's build something that works for generating content for people. My wife is actually an entrepreneur. She has a marketing agency, and she's been talking to a lot of startup founders that would love to actually grow and use content for this, but they cannot afford to work with the marketing agency. So I really realized that there is a niche there that is underserved, and maybe we can do something about it. But the more I talked about with these founders, the more I realized that content is really a surface level problem. What they really want is to grow and to really go deeper and have help on how to actually design a strategy and implement that strategy. So this is how we come up with this problem statement. So how we come up with this was a really interesting process that I run 6 discovery calls and plus another call, which was kind of like a call with an entrepreneur who has expertise in this area, which was extremely valuable for me. I have to say I have never run really customer interviews, so that this was really really great experience. And then we managed to what we do is basically have a script and go through that script for each and every interviewee, and then we try to create try to develop the patterns from the responses. So yeah, it was really a little bit like nerve-wracking at the beginning, but it was an extremely great experience. And as I said, it really shaped my understanding of what people actually need and what I thought that they need. So that there's a huge difference between there. So this is actually a real screenshot of the script and all the notes that I have been making. So basically the main pattern is that the people really find it in sometimes these startups too early to actually start doing anything. They think like, yeah, the marketing and the branding is not really figured out. So I really don't think that we need to start something. And if they start something, they find it really draining, and they are managing so many things at the same time. They think like they are lacking the expertise from marketing, and it's really just overwhelming to try to actually learn and implement at the same time. And most of them is also rather focused on the creative craft and creating their product or service instead of like trying to sell it. So that was like really a generic pattern that came out of it. So from this, and already like understanding the problem statement and the deeper level problem, we really went into creating the offer. So how we create the offer is actually trying to understand these frustrations and then really flip them around and creating opportunities from them so that it really resonates with the niche. So creating the offer, we came up with, we help founders to build growth strategies through personalized guidance. So it really ties it back to like they really think that their company is special, their situation is special. They don't want something generic that they need to then adopt. They need to have a personalized guidance, and they really need to focus on growth and the strategy part, not just creating content. So this was the minimal viable offer that I put together. And to be honest, from the learning is probably still too generic. I think I'm going to try to improve on this, and probably I would love to try niche down so that not just founders, but maybe be very specific about what type of company founders, like for example, some founders that are maybe creating physical products or physical services instead of digital, that they may be lacking this expertise even more than digital products. So this is something that I like marked down as an X. Not, I mean, we definitely, throughout validation, this came up, and then we never managed to really iterate on this. But I would love to continue doing that, right? So during this part, we also made to think about how we're going to differentiate ourselves really from the competition, and how we're going to actually, what is the vision and what is the we use something called the product story canvas that is really a powerful tool to build an understanding of the niche, but also their desires, how is us as guides can help them. And yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit more on the next slide on this as well. So this is just two screenshots of the Blue Ocean canvas and the product story canvas that we completed during the Product MBA. So the Blue Ocean canvas really identified a couple of competitors in this space. So social marketing tools, email marketing tools, marketing agencies, and working with influencers are some of the things that I identified that is kind of like what we're competing against. And then how they are helping the founders saving time, reporting on conversion, content generation, those, and how affordable they are are the factors that we really started to look at. So the Blue Ocean strategy in my analysis is that we need to create a tool that is really helping the people to get started and affordable, versus, you know, we don't need to really compete with the different social marketing tools that are basically trying to save you time or do some built-in reporting capabilities and whatnot. This is not the important part. I think the most important is to help you get started in an affordable and personalized way. So that's what the Blue Ocean came out. And then basically the product canvas is to really understanding who is the hero. The hero is always the customer. Our customer is the startup founders, and they really want to avoid the villain, which is the death of their startups, and they want to make a positive impact in the world, which is their philosophical need. So we know how daunting it is and how overwhelming it is, so we can come in with empathy. And then this is whole product story canvas is really helping to build like a very personalized landing page that we can we can convince the users to actually try our services. So yeah, the primary service is to sign up for like an accelerator program, but the secondary service could be to join a call, which is auditing their strategy, and we can just jump on a call with them. Right, moving on to actually the MBO. So we created the MBO that we saw before. We put it in a landing page, and we created thank you and sorry, the escaped my mind the word, survey page. But unfortunately, we didn't get much results. So I don't want to go into this. I think the real learning from here is to iterate more on the MBO and try to niche down. And again, if you can see this supporting text in the landing page is really coming out from the product story canvas to have like this supported, how we know how overwhelmed you are, and trying to get some additional message to join the waiting list for this landing page, right? So again, the goal was just to get some people to join the waiting list, but unfortunately I was not very successful at completing that. So yeah, but however, I really try to go deeper, and the product vision is really something like a founder's co-pilot for early stage growth. So the co-pilot word is really came down, we wanted to do something that is not, which is kind of telling the users that it's going to require effort from your side, but we really happy with the step-by-step guidance. So we didn't want it to, for example, put autopilot, but we really wanted to make sure that we are helping you to go all the way. Then trying to be cautious of the time as well. So storming through this a little bit, but basically the third part is very much about feasibility and viability. So after we have put together the offer, we actually completed a very useful exercise, which was the user journey mapping. So super efficient way to like come together and in a very small amount of time, with the help of other PMs on the Prod MBA, basically list out what are the outcomes that actually gives the biggest value, bang for the buck, right? So really help to focus on the outcomes, and then organizing those outcomes into a strategic roadmap where we can understand that we want these outcomes first to provide for our user experience, and then these are the features that can achieve that outcome, and these are the KPIs that will show us whether we managed to achieve that outcome for the customer. So it really ties it back to this nice and easy strategic roadmap, which has only 3 steps to get to an actual co-pilot and a growth strategy co-pilot solution. So the first step was basically making sure that when the user comes to the platform, they can immediately jump into creating the strategy that they're looking for, so actionable and fast. So the feature here is definitely some sort of an onboarding workflow where we can very few questions to ask, and then we can present a plan for the user after the few questions. So the second step would be able to make the user accountable. So the user not just want to present you the plan, but we want to make sure that you are actually put this plan into action, and then you commit to the dates that you need to complete certain tasks on this plan. So these features would be, to be able to create due dates for your different tasks, to be able to share your plan with other users so that you are really not in isolation. And the third plan is basically, third step is basically to make sure that you can continue after the first plan. So it's a library of plans and experiments. So you can get like a tree-like structure that if you run an experiment, it goes successful, you can go down that path. If it's not successful, you can try something else. So the last step would be to offering continuation of that plan, or offering different experiments that you can do based on your first growth plan. Right. To be able to actually understand whether this could be a good idea, basically, we need to earn the right to build. So we need to create a prototype to validate that this is actually something that users would do, and we don't want to just jump into creating and coding. So what I wanted to start with is to test if we can actually create a plan out of just a couple of questions after the onboarding that is meaningful enough that the users actually want to engage with it. So this is also tackling, most importantly, the value risk, but also some sort of usability risk, because the value risk, if I give you like 100 question questionnaire, for sure you're going to be able to propose something. But the usability part, it has to be also usable. So I don't want to, I think it's just a couple of questions, whether we can propose something that is meaningful. I have to say as well, maybe the ideal test would have been like a smoke test type of thing, to make it's like kind of a concierge that I would replace the product and I would act like a product. So I would sit down with the user and guide this through, but for the reasons of it's more realistic. During the Product MBA, I was thinking that I also wanted to improve my high fidelity prototype knowledge, and I basically ended up deciding for the high fidelity prototype instead, and going through that way. The success is basically going to be measured through customer satisfaction score, and there is a small like users journey there that is described, but I'm just going to skip over this to keep focusing on the time. So the Lean Product Canvas is something super powerful at the end of these 3 steps, because it really merges all of the information that we discussed so far and a little bit more. So all of the things that we discussed about the solution and the competitive alternatives is in here, but also we have been forced to think about monetization of this product, and also how we can protect it from somebody else to copying it, to building this moat around the product that is not easy to go through. So I'm really focused on a subscription-based type of product. So I'm envisioning this platform to be a subscription-based platform where the lifetime value of the customer is the most important metric, and we need to always compare what is the customer acquisition cost. So we need to be able to extract more lifetime value from customers, the cost of acquiring them. Then the unfair advantage here is basically the more users we get on this platform, and the more plans they are executing, and the more feedback we are getting, the better we are becoming and recommending plans for certain types of users. So basically we can build this out with fancy machine learning stuff that I would love to jump into the solutions, but basically that's what I think is the unfair advantage could be for this platform. The cost structure wise, it's really mainly hosting and integrations. I think in the short term we might need to account for as well manual coaching type of cost, but that's not something that's very scalable. So on the long term we would focus on this one. And last but not least, we've been also thought about how to think about the team topology. So this is way down the line, but this is some sort of an organization structure where we can really have different teams owning what they build, and they can organize around like key metrics and key outcomes of the company, and they have a minimal level of interference between them. So I would organize the product teams around acquisition, activation, retention, and payments. And as enabling teams, I would envision like product design, product analytics, and for platform teams, all of the different platforms where we want to launch, plus the integrations where we can integrate with social media, we can see conversions and whatnot for the plans. If I would add another team later on, it would be probably recommendations as well as a team for the platform where we can add more to it. And yeah, I'm running way over time, but just the last slide here is basically what were the principles that I've been considering during the whole creation of this product. Customer obsession, really, the first was really obvious for me when my understanding of the problem was changed completely after talking just only 6 customers. So really, this has to be continued. Outcomes, opportunities, solutions. We really need to focus on outcomes. I think this is really reflected on our strategic roadmap. So we really centered in on this one. And we need to earn the right to build. So we need to do experiments. We need to validate our assumptions and opportunities before we start doing things. And avoid code at all cost. I'm not a programmer. We've been using no-code products during this journey, and I really enjoyed them. So yeah, I think this is a really brilliant way to get started with building out a product like this. And slightly over time, but yeah, that's my presentation.
I thought I'd leave you to wrap up with it. Good. Pete, what I'll do, I'll go through just very quickly feedback on the case study, and then we'll slow down and talk a little bit about sort of next steps.
Okay.
Yeah, good. If you go back to the first slide, just try to follow along with the point. So I thought you're generally really good, engaging style. I think it was interesting to listen to. One tip, just practice the first few lines next time, because you started a little bit unconfident. It's, sometimes you can lose people.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say that I was already practicing. I already practiced.
It's part of it, because you don't know what's happening with people. Usually you're going to be more controlling the meeting. So to just start well, you got into it really quickly, but I think it's always good to just start bang, big first impression. I like the intro. I think it's great that you talked about, your own why, right? You as Pete the Book, why did you want to do this and what you learned, that sort of reflection, really, really important. On the problem, again, actually, I think it's super, you built a nice story around it. You talked about, hey, it was a real journey, getting to this problem. It shows this evolution of ideas. What does that do? It shows the power of product discovery, actually, to listeners, right? They get like, oh, this is why I do this stuff, because actually we get to better ideas eventually. And you do that through storytelling. Your product discovery was good. I like the visual highlighting of key themes. You see, again, you mentioned some examples there. Really, it just makes the point much more concrete. Something that somebody with. On the MVO, I thought it was just, I loved your product vision. I felt very, very compelling. I thought MVO, I wasn't sure if the value really came across. We talked about, you mentioned build growth strategies. And I was thinking, is it about that, or is it about like this personalization thing, which was actually in your product vision, right? This sort of co-pilot concept.
No, I totally agree with that. I just a quick comment on this. I think there was a lot of things that has been changing over the time. And I think I should have go back to the MVO, because I think a lot of things that I understood what's coming after the MVO was already done, right? So
yeah, for example, I think product vision remembers that aspirational thing. So it's like, what do they ultimately want? Really, it's about rapid growth. That's the vision. Product strategy is more this sort of support co-pilot personalization concept, specifically for growth strategies. So I would just go back and just be clear on the difference there. On the Blue Ocean and story, the same point here. I thought you did a very good job of explaining Blue Ocean, where the gap was, this affordable, easy wave to ... You did that well. Story, same thing. You mentioned Later, you mentioned how this helps us, build a personalized landing page. With both of them, though, if you're presenting to an external audience, or sorry, it's on your team, anybody else, probably, in fact, just as you mention the topic, just be crystal clear, simple terms. What is this thing and why is it important? So, for example, Blue Ocean. So, next I wanted to plot on the Blue Ocean where we think the competitors are doing well and where we actually see a gap in the market. And then you talk about how you actually applied it and where you saw the gap it's in reality. So just a little tip for when you, because people have no freaking idea what Blue Ocean is, what MBA is, all of these things. And so just that single sentence of what it is, why this is important. On the second objective, key results, you don't talk about no results as a big negative. I think absolutely fine to not get this right and get lots of positive validation. Remember the statistics, it's about 10 to 20% are going to get lots of positive validation. So what you didn't do though, so I think it's good you talked about that. Just talk about what you think went wrong. Like, hey, what are we going to test next time? Is it about the broader niche, the niche being too broad? Is it actually the offer clear? Just talk about some of your rough hypotheses so that they're clear. Oh yeah, so Pete's not there crying himself to sleep. He knows what he's going to do next, and we're confident that some plan there. It just gives people confidence. Roadmap I thought was excellent. Very clear why. So what is it? Why is this important? These sort of steps to help us deliver on the MBO. And then you talked about why each outcome made sense and why in that order, which is great. So a great example of where a framework's helpful in helping you communicate to external people better. Prototype, again, good. You talked about, what is it? Earning the right to build. So again, I'm clear, okay, well, what are we trying to do here? I felt it was a little bit weak on the details though, and I felt this actually in the 8 weeks. For example, I've never got this clear picture of, okay, well, what exact growth plan are you going to start with? How would it work? Actually, you never quite answer the question, can we actually get them to go and do this thing? For example, results are we going to expect from it? You get things written there hey, we'd survey them, but I want to see, I think we should be pushing for real concrete results, actually. Hey, here's a plan. Go get them to do it. Let's see what happened after. So I thought you lifted your game up a little bit there. Lean canvas, final point, very good. Excellent. It's so important with the lean canvas to, why is it powerful? It basically shows that you understand this is a business and not just a product. You talked about the right things there. What are business stakeholders worried about? Unique value proposition, revenue, unfair advantage. You covered all those 3 things. So, they're going, okay, great, Pete's doing all this fun discovery stuff, but you suddenly put the business hat on and show you understand this is about a business, which is great. And then just zooming out, Pete, and just sort of general next steps observations. So I think first one is just a little bit more focus and persistence. The prototype's a really good example of this. I think if you push yourself, I really think you could have done a real world experiment with some growth hack working with a real team. I think you could honestly have done that in 2-3 hours preparation. I don't think it would have been a big thing to do. The big thing is the psychological one, right? Of actually going and doing this in the real world. Right? Having that, is this going to succeed or fail? It's tough. Hey, we're doing this as part of a boot camp. This is not you building, a real startup at this stage, at least. But if you want to go to that next level as a product leader, the people that do that, the ones that take that leap, get out of their comfort zone. So that's something to think about moving forward. Second thing, you mentioned it yourself, which is great. Just decoupling a little bit more from preconceived ideas. What does that come down to? Mind management, right? I talked, right at the beginning about things like trying to be objective, meditation, all these kind of habits where we're able just to zoom out a little bit better. Also, just always staying in this discovery mindset of being, what is curiosity. It's from the more discovery calls you do, the more, as you already have found, right, that you just know you learn a huge amount from them. So you go in much more. If I go into discovery now, I've got ideas, sure, but I'm going in very neutral because I know that I'm going to get better ideas from the people speaking to. So I think you're on that path already, but just something to be aware of. Thirdly, I thought your strategic insights were good. So I think you've got that sort of product strategy and discovery piece actually quite strong now. You know, I like the insights. I like this positioning you had there. I thought that was great. I think just now more repetitions. You're going to get better over to, you know, work this year, next year, maybe move role in a couple of years. All of these, you know, all of these are chances, right, to come back, take the framework, take the learnings from Prod MBA, just go and apply them and improve on them. And then final thing, prototype. Yeah, I think just go build something in the next few months. You know, there's no rush with it, but do to get that train moving forward. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm just going to pause the recording, and then we'll talk about observations next steps.